Hello and welcome to the Dominion Daily for March 12th, 2026. We've got adventures and what was that? Hinterlands today? Yeah. And let's see. We don't really have any trashing. Well, you can trash coppers with Trader, and that will actually thin them. It's just a very weak way to do it. It can also turn estates into silvers, which is like actively not thinning because you get more silvers than the number of estates you had. But so that's not helping with draw, but it could be useful if you want the payload. Plus actions. We got port and then potentially teacher, draw, ranger, and then potentially teacher. Oh, also lost arts for plus actions. Huh. That's kind of funny. I think I'm trying to remember whether it was a daily kingdom or not, that at some point recently we had teacher and, well, the peasant line and also pathfinding. But yeah, lost arts similarly, it uses the same token the teacher does, so you can't like use teacher to get plus actions from one pile and then use lost arts to get it from another pile. But what you can do, teacher says you have to have no tokens on the pile. Lost arts does not say that. So what you can do if you want is put a teacher token on a pile and then put lost arts on the same pile. So like in this particular kingdom, I don't know if we'll get to that point, but you could stick both plus card and plus action on port and then have lost bustling cities or whatever you want to call it. That being said, I could see the argument for doing that. I could also see the argument for just not going to that level of complexity and just sticking lost arts on like ranger and then figuring like, okay, I've got I hardly need to play any terminals at that point. I don't know, maybe I guess there's still duplicate stuff from the peasant line. Anyway, so Rory talked about actions and draw, gains, duplicate, ranger for plus buy, peasant for plus buy, traveling fair for plus buy, artificer. Yeah, there's a lot of value in having a lot of draw here because of artificer, so that's another consideration. And that does potentially promote the idea of using trader to thin copper at some point, but that's definitely not going to be the highest priority. I think the highest priority and the way to open here is get a dungeon to help cycle, and then top deck a peasant with traveling fair. I'm going to always want to go up the peasant line. We could top deck another peasant. That seems pretty good. The only problem comes if we don't find the dungeon, but I mean, even then, it's not like a huge problem. I think it's just good. All right. So we're going to have two soldiers, which we cannot play both of. So probably don't want a third peasant just yet. I'll take another dungeon, I guess. The bot normally is not super into the peasant stuff, but has already gotten 2 peasants itself. Interesting. That's a little unfortunate. Specifically not to be sifting past any estates. Alright, so now we're going to get a fugitive. But we do have another soldier coming up. So this is still probably not the time for another peasant. We could consider getting an artificer already. Or we could get some ports. We do have another dungeon down there, which is going to trigger another shuffle. So there actually is an argument. I mean, we wouldn't want to top deck it, but if we take another peasant, I mean, I guess we can always top deck a peasant next turn. So maybe there's not much reason to do that, to spend 5 on... Like, if we traveling fair a peasant, then we only have 1 coin left, so we can't really make full use of our 5 anyway, and we don't want to top deck it. Yeah, okay, never mind. We put ports in the deck. They're not really doing anything yet, but they will, and they are a good teacher target if we decide we want to go that way. Artificer can also be top decking peasants. As far, like, compared to traveling fair, it's about the same efficiency, right? It potentially more efficient if we have estates to discard. Yeah, I think I like getting Artificer. That's annoying. I guess you make a case for not triggering the shuffle here. Not like losing that estate that we're now is now not missing the shuffle because of the soldier attack. We're gonna have 4 coins unless we find the artificer. I mean, the important thing is to get to the fugitive, and the dungeon will shorten the shuffle for that. I think it's still worth it. Okay. So we have 8 cards down there. We're gonna cycle 2 of them with dungeon. So right now we're guaranteed to see at least 1 of artificer or fugitive. And so long as we see the artificer, we'll see the fugitive. This is the reason to not top deck another peasant, is because then we become not guaranteed to see the fugitive. So what then? We take some ports. We are probably going to want some anyway, and I don't think getting a ranger right now makes a lot of sense. It will soon, though. When I say right now, I don't even necessarily mean putting it in the deck now. I mean, like, if we had a ranger right now, it wouldn't do anything for us, but Like, once we have Disciple... I think I'm still going to take the ports. Okay. So... we have to trigger a shuffle. We could get another peasant. The Artificer, that's obviously going to make the shuffle a little bit slower. But it also does mean we get another peasant going up the line. Well, actually, no, so we also discard 2 more cards into the shuffle, which is not great. The downside. If we use Traveling Fair, then we just top deck. And the delayed by a turn doesn't actually really matter in this case because we're triggering a shuffle right now anyway. So yeah, I think we don't gain anything. Nice to see the dungeon there. That's very helpful. Well, and although on the flip side, now we've gotten far enough through the shuffle that what it's like. On the one hand, this was good that we got so far through the shuffle. On the other hand, it's no longer the case that Traveling Fair top decking a peasant is going to get us another peasant up the line as fast as it would have done if we had gained it with Artificer, because we're getting all the way through this shuffle. Anyway, well, I'm wondering about just getting another Artificer. Still want to do the Artificer for Peasant thing, and yeah, I think so. That. We could do it here. And we could get yet another peasant. We'd also get a scheme. I mean, scheming ports wouldn't be bad. I'm just gonna take the peasant, though. Okay, we can Disciple Port or Artificer. Right now, Discipling Artificer definitely looks better. If we take a Teacher, getting more ports will be better. I think right now I prefer the Artificer. So we have... two disciples, the bot has 1 disciple, and the bot has 1 fugitive, and then we have the soldier and a peasant. So presumably the bot's fugitive will turn into a disciple, and then we can get 1 more disciple. So in terms of using the Artificer, unless we want to be playing with 2 soldiers, which maybe we do, getting another peasant isn't necessarily doing a whole lot. We want to play the Artificer before the dungeon so that the dungeon discards don't go into the shuffle anyway. So I guess do that. Yeah, and we don't really want to discard into the shuffle with the Artificer either. Okay. Hmm. I do want to get Ranger stuff going. Top decking a Ranger feels kind of bad, but we do need to do it at some point. And this is like a reasonably convenient time to do it, so I guess we'll do that. I'm not going to take a teacher yet, but I could see that's the other thing we could be doing with another peasant up the line is getting a teacher. We might do that at some point. Okay, yeah, so if we disciple the ranger, it'll get to draw. That was one of the possibilities I was hoping for. If we don't end up with the token in the orientation that we want is the downside, but we could potentially get there if we can find the other ranger that we gain off the disciple. So that's potentially fine. Okay. Is it worth trying to... I guess there's no realistic way we are actually going to draw that ranger because we triggered the shuffle before we gained it. Anyway, is there any realistic way that we're going to be able to gain port here with Artificer while still playing the dungeon? Maybe. I mean, I guess we can play the first Artificer. Okay. Yeah, I mean, we can. We could also gain a Ranger. But then we don't get to play either of these. I don't actually think that's worth it. Oh. So we want another peasant. If we want to get a teacher, then that makes that more likely. This soldier is going to become a fugitive and then a disciple. The bot's fugitive is going to become a disciple. That's all the disciples. This peasant can then go up the line, and then we can do disciple to teacher, fugitive to disciple at the same time if we want. And then the other peasant we gain would stay as a soldier. Cost us a coin this turn. So we could have either 6 coins with the peasant or 7 coins discipling the soldier. What do we want to do with our money this turn anyway? We could consider getting Lost Arts, but we don't super need it right now. We could get more ports with an eye towards teacher. And I guess we could top deck them. Ports into scheme, maybe. That's not the most exciting thing. That would be if we disciple the soldier. Yeah, I think I will take the peasant. Although I guess the soldier attack is also like a relevant consideration here. Whatever. And then we do. It would actually be nice not to top deck anything so that the dungeon triggers a shuffle. I don't super need more ports anyway. We could just take another artificer. That seems fine. Exchange, exchange. I still don't want to exchange the disciples until... Well... The deck would definitely pop more with plus card on port. But still, I think I want to wait until this fugitive becomes a disciple. Fool's Gold? Wait, what? This isn't looking great. I don't think there's anything I can top deck here that's gonna make it look great. If we had the ranger token in the other way, yeah. Well, at least we have it now. Did not find the dungeon, so top decking... Well, top decking looks better from that standpoint, and because we wouldn't trigger a shuffle anyway if we did have it. You just take some ports in a scheme, though. Like, again, I don't know that we need... Well, what is scheme doing? It's not doing much. We could just top deck ports. Sure. I would probably like to disciple this ranger if I could. Aha! Alright, I don't think there's anything I particularly want to gain with the artificer. Do I want to disciple the Artificer? I want to play the Artificer before triggering the shuffle. That much is clear. Probably disciple the Artificer. Would be nice to gain another Ranger with it. But again, we have to discard into the shuffle. It's not worth it. Now, however... Oh. Never mind. Well, I mean, we do still want to flip the token again. Yeah. Now we have the problem that there's 6 cards in the discard, and the Ranger would draw 5 cards and trigger the shuffle. We do have the Dungeon in play, or to play though, and the Artificer, so maybe that's okay. Oh, we've got a port too. All right. Is that the right time to do that? I guess it probably doesn't matter. Okay, so we're going to turn a disciple into a teacher and get 2 more disciples. This peasant is going to become a soldier. If we want another soldier, we can Artificer per peasant. I'm not super concerned about that. Piles are quite low. I don't really think the bot has the deck control to threaten a pile out, but I'm not totally sure. Excuse me, I'm not totally sure about that. Let's see. Ranger, 3, 4, 5. I have 5 Rangers in my deck. So the bot has 3. And it does have the token in like the good orientation. It does also have 2 disciples. So there's definitely a world where the bot could pile here, which means we probably need to take points. And I don't really think the state is, if the bot is able to gain 2 Artificers, 2 Rangers, and a set of ports off of like Disciple and Artificer, how likely is it that it can't also gain a couple of estates? I mean, it's really not what I want to be doing, buying an estate, but it might make a difference. And this is also the argument against getting a teacher, is that maybe there's just no time for it, which is unfortunate because it would really be good at this point. But we have to expect that we're going to get 2 more turns at the very least, and I don't expect that. Hmm. Yeah. Unfortunately, just don't think there's time. Okay, well now we should be in a position where we can win the game here. Disciple or Ranger. We want to Disciple Artificer anyway. Don't think there's any reason to decline or to discard with the initial Artificer here. If we could get another Ranger, I would do that, but we can't. We've got 3 more Artificers anyway. We probably already have the win in hand, actually. We need a province. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then we just discard for an Artificer. Yeah. All right, let's go ahead and take that Artificer, I guess. Did it always used to do this where it asked you if you wanted to gain a 0 cost card? Like, it's really pretty annoying. Ha. We do still have another Disciple down there. I guess it doesn't matter in terms of piling, but matters in terms of draw. All right, what's the most valuable thing we can do here? So the soldier and the couple artificers get us to 10. By like province estate or whatever, but we could probably gain a distant lands. No reason to do that with this artificer. We had already discarded for another distant lands. I guess we couldn't have quite managed to play it without playing this soldier, which actually I guess would have been fine. Yeah, I should have done one more discard earlier, I guess, if I wanted to maximize my points. Oh, actually, maybe I shouldn't have taken the distant lands at all. I don't think I realized that I was lined up for double province. Or was I? Did I discard? I did discard a copper. Whatever. So, yeah, I sure spent a lot of time talking about teacher for them not getting a teacher. I think I had one turn in like the mid to late game where I just like didn't see any of my good cards. Was this one? Well, not exactly. Because I did see Disciple Artificer. But it still wasn't, that still wasn't much of a turn. Anyway, so where I'm going with this is that I think if my draws had gone a little bit differently, and I don't know. I could definitely see getting a teacher here if things had just played out a little bit differently. Maybe um, maybe more so on the part of like what the bot was doing. It's hard to say. Uh, I legitimately do feel like it's rare for the bot to actually move multiple peasants up the line like this. Sometimes it doesn't do peasant stuff at all, and but having two disciples definitely lowers piles. So that was definitely a concern. I don't I don't like Fool's Gold here, even though it is a lot of payload, but the draw is already like so fragile. I think if you did manage to get to teacher, get it down, and put a plus card token on something, then I could see going for Fool's Gold at that point. If you have enough draw. Even then, you really need to make sure you have done at least a dungeon in play or something, so that you're cycling enough that you're likely to see cards to kick off with, or I don't know, maybe you play with 2 pairs of dungeons, or you get a trader and start trashing coppers or something. I'm not really sure. I mean, I didn't notice the bot super obviously dud as a consequence of having Fool's Gold or whatever, but it's a lot of extra stop cards to draw, and you can get a decent amount of money in any case from Artificer plus your starting coppers, and Artificer can turn draw into gains in a way where it is less card efficient than Fool's Gold, but it also isn't itself a stop card. So yeah, I think if there was decent thinning on this board, it would be quite a different experience, because I think then duplicate becomes potentially more of a thing, or either that or just piles explode really quickly, and then maybe Fool's Gold actually is pretty good, because if you're trashing all your coppers and estates, you've got the draw from Ranger, and you've got Artificer. Maybe at that point Artificer for Fool's Gold looks pretty good. Anyway, yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think if I had it wasn't super obvious just from looking from the log, but when there was a turn where I had 2 disciples, and I had a soldier, or no, I was exchanging a peasant into a soldier, maybe. But anyway, I was like, I don't want to exchange for teacher now, because I want to have the multiple disciples in the deck, and once I get this further up the line, then I'll do that. And then I had a turn after that where I made no progress towards that, and that's basically if that subsequent turn I had actually made progress towards exchanging all that stuff up the line, then I could see having gotten the teacher a turn earlier would have potentially meant it would have actually had time to pay off here. So that's what I mean about the draws and the potential for teacher to be a thing here, even though I didn't end up getting one. But I also could have chosen that turn to go ahead and exchange for one. It's just the problem is that it's it is going to hurt your next turn. So, and you're already, by no means guaranteed to have a good turn with all the junk in the deck. So yeah, it's tricky. But In any case, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.